Today on the asteroid-battered world of Darkside, apparently what we have is an extra long late-game T3 battle between some top-tier players, and I'm excited to see exactly how we ended up here, because yeah, oftentimes a lot of those pro-level games, they end up going pretty much to T2 and sometimes T3 to finish it, but apparently, this one goes the distance. So welcome back, everybody, to the Brightworks, where today we'll be checking out our red team leader, who goes by the name of Blossom, going up against our blue team leader, Lavish, on this match with some very high skill players. I actually noticed there's quite a disparity here. We have all the way from 42 down to 0. I did not know you could get to 0. That's blowing my mind a little bit here, but we also have 41 down to 6 for Blossom, all the way down to Mustafa. Should be an interesting one, yeah, because apparently this game goes the distance. The replay time certainly looked like it was a little bit longer than usual, but also, as I'm sure you can tell, the video length is probably going to be a little longer as usual, but also it's got some really powerful, really strong players on this, and I noticed that they happen to be in the opposite sides of the map. So whenever that tends to happen, it means we end up getting a yin-yang match, and that means we get kind of a sweep the leg, punch the eye, you know, go for the jugular type of game where it's very back and forth, very aggressive. And that's certainly one of my favorite types of matches to watch, and I think a lot of you would probably tend to agree. So what I mean by that, of course, is that Blossom up here is on the northern side, and then we also have Watch Me Do This sort of on the northern side as well, John Hunter up there as well, and on the southern side we have Lavish, Strawberry, Nizal, all names that we all recognize, all names that are very strong, very well, powerful in the community. Going to be going up against, well, for instance, Mustafa here, who just has a humble 6 true skill. That is to say, it is on the back of quite a few chevrons here, so not a player that's brand new to the game by any means, but certainly maybe not someone who's refined their builds to the best ability, maybe someone who's not super used to controlling those units just ever so slightly. It's those little details that the pros pick up and absolutely maximize that really ends up making them so much better. We do have a lot of reclaim on this map. Loads and loads of industrial structure, you know, .jpeg, very, very, very generic industrial structure 3.mp3. But we are going to start eating those up with the resbot here. They also give a little bit of energy. Oh, no, they don't give energy. Never mind. They're just raw metal, but obviously very, very useful. That metal in the early game here. Rogue One in a little bit of trouble as the rovers start to make their way across the map right here by Blossom, trying to, is it Blopsom? It might be Blopsom, but I'm just going to go with Blossom here because Blopsom every time I know is not a good audio profile coming through the microphone. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at that audio wave, and I can tell you right now, compression is going to have a fit about it. Aggression on the other side of the map too, as it looks like Strawberry is looking to put some rascals in the back line right here. She does manage to find a resbot right there, so that's quite nice. Shutting down those resbots early on, obviously very, very nice. Okay. Rascals have served their duty, have served their purpose. Wow. Have you guys seen that clip of the axolotl? Maybe I'll try and put it up on the screen, like missing the food by about 3 seconds after it was dropped into its tank. That's what I'm thinking of right now. I'll try and flash that on the screen. There we go. That was Mustafa firing that D-gun about a minute too late after that rascal had moved. It is what it is. Oh, yeah, okay. Another thing I'm noting here. 6 wind turbines. 6 wind turbines. Definitely not going to be very useful on a no-wind map like this one. At the very least, we did figure out that it was solar panels eventually, but yeah, certainly feels like Mustafa's in a little bit of a league, swimming with the big fishes. Maybe that's the kind way of saying this, right? I don't want to exclude Mustafa from having fun, but it definitely feels like yeah, gonna be learning a very hard lesson as to why exactly some of these players have earned such high open skill values. More ticks running on in. Oh, beautifully done. Big ball of ticks right here. 7 ticks in total. Only about 120 metal. But more than sufficient to blast on these metal extractors. Would love to see 1 or 2 of those peeled off to try and, yeah, take out these metal extractors. There we go. Gonna end up eventually pushing into these metal extractors and destroying them. Oh, well, okay. Eventually. We're trying to micro them so as not to lose all of them in the explosions here. Very difficult with those ticks. They don't have much health, and they're very susceptible to those explosions. It's one of the balancing acts, I suppose, of this game. Nizal going up against MT King here. It's actually a combined force of Nizal and Strawberries. You know what? The Grunt's doing a great job here, though. Yeah, loads and loads of Grunts going down. Pardon me, Incisors going down. The grunts remain standing. Incisors with their not so recent buff, now quite potent against, for instance, incisors, pardon me, with their not so recent buff, quite potent against basically everything. Excellent poking options. Oh, a little bit of self-deep micro. I saw it. I saw we were thinking about self-destructing this one. Really nicely done. Thinking about denying every scrap of metal that we can to the enemy team here. John Hunter trying to move forward to D-gun down these LLTs. Ooh, Blade Runner in a little bit of trouble here. Very, very low health right here for the Seafoam Green Commander on the northern side. Could definitely be a lot of trouble. We just watched that game pretty recently on Dark Side where we basically showcased the power of the run by, sending a couple of light units here and there all over the place, effectively shutting down massive swaths of the economy here, and I think that's exactly what Strawberry is going for. Trying to send her incisor tanks around where there's not really going to be much opposition, trying to find these mexes and trying to shut them down. She's going to be more than happy to take this trade, though, against these aggravators, because while you catch them one by one, they don't have that snowballing effect, and it's definitely a much more efficient fight to take this way. Very, very nicely done. Also, of course, cutting off the reinforcements to MT King, making it very difficult to keep that front line alive. Part of that has allowed the grunts now for Nizah to move forward, and they're going to start trying to harass down more and more of these metal extractors. MT King definitely in the hot seat right now, trying to keep it together against two very, very strong players. Little bit of a counterattack going forward right here. Badbot trying to send a whole bunch of ticks and pawns and all sorts of other stuff forward, hopefully to secure some of this. That's an exploiter that was set up over here, though. They will spy the exploiter. Ooh, the constructors. The constructors, an excellent pick right here. One falls, and the second will fall shortly thereafter. Very nicely done. Constructor goes down right here for MT King as well, and these incisors are still looking strong. Man, they're good. Take down the metal extractor. I'm taking down quite a few metal extractors at this point, actually. Slowly but surely draining the resources out of the Tan Commander's resource pool here. Wind LMFAO, cries out Nizah. Immediately shifting focus to come harass this player here. Maybe suspecting that there might be an open opportunity on this southern side as those E-converters pop, shutting down all of the solar panels available right here for the Brown Commander. Build power remains intact, though, so at the very least we can rebuild from the ashes. Mustafa in a little bit of trouble here, though. Gauntlet on the front lines to try and blast down some of this T1 trash. Gantlet, cries out Lovish. That there's a Gantlet if I ever seen one. Slipping into the southern accent. Whoa, massive run by on the northern side here as well as Blossom gets a bunch of blitzes into the solar fields right here for the Powder Blue Commander. That's going to be Rogue One now suffering the onslaught of plasma fire here coming out of the twin cannons of the blitz tanks sent across the map, and we will settle for the kill in the lab. I think we probably could commit to more. I think shutting down all these solar panels would probably be well worth it. Loads and loads of metal you lose every time you kill one of those, but at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing. Ooh, Rogue One finds the T2. Oh, that's a great snipe right there, actually. Rogue One finds the T2 lab, essentially sacrificing the commander to do it. The backline is basically dead. There's a little bit of build power here, and there is a single constructor. We can rebuild and get back into this. That was a lot of metal down the drain. That was actually a really, really nice play by Rogue One here. We'll have to see if maybe we can keep ourselves alive. Yeah, that commander's backed up against a rock and a hard place, though. Blossom now ready to put down a metal storage, an aggressively placed metal storage, sort of a emergency metal storage, if you will. MT King getting some of those aggravators to the front line, finally. They've been denied from pushing this front line for so long just because of the aggression in the back. Eventually, a constructor will go forward to rebuild these mexes, and Resbots will pick up a lot of the units that are still remaining as feasible corpses on the ground over here, and all the rest of that will obviously be cleaned up by some reclamation. Mustafa holding the invisible line, the line that is non-existent over here essentially. Could probably do to apply a little bit more pressure along this line, pushing up to where the teammates are holding, essentially right here, as opposed to back in this direction. But Badbot is going for that T2, so at the very least keeping that alive and well is going to be useful. Are we ready for T2 in the back here? We sure are. The Purple Commander Merrick is going for T2. It looks like we already have a T2 up and running here for Nizah, using the reclaim from a lot of those engagements on the front here, using the reclaim from any of the bots that leaked through and were cleaned up, using all that and the economy from the metal extractors, of course, to just go for a greedy T2. Not really even a greedy T2 at this point. 9 minutes into the game, T2 should be well expected. Fiend's going to jump on top of a lot of these Rocketeers right here, not overcommitting, being very careful not to overstep. Ooh, that Commander in a lot of trouble here. Badbot with the delayed D-gun will sacrifice quite a lot of HP on that commander. The T2 lab is seen as well scouted, and that's an excellent scout here. Revealing that it's now or never as Nazan decides to step forward. Going to lock lasers with Badbot here. Obviously, that trade will go in the favor of the commander with more HP as the grunts decide to jump on top of this whole laboratory. This T2 lab is so close to finished. It will finish, but it means that a whole bunch of bots are going to leak through. Nazam manages to take down that commander over here, so that's an excellent play. MT King forces Strawberry offline, but of course that's going to be retributed by a whole bunch of a T2 transition. We've actually just got a Twitcher pumping out Fiends right here, which is an excellent play. A very efficient play. John Hunter, though, as well as Blossom, have both handily carved out the northern side of this map here. The Powder Blue commander, Rogue One, effectively wiped off the surface of Darkside here. Little run by, about to make its way into the backline here. Yeah, Grunts find that LLT that was coming up. Blasting it to smithereens, the build power pops along with the mechs. Solar panels in a whole lot of trouble here. Grunts need only stand and shoot and whittle this all down. Okay, don't run into the metal extractors and don't die in the explosions here. That's all I'm asking for. And we've effectively completely countered all of this here. Did we res this? Was this a res or a capture? Oh, we might have captured this. Oh, that's hilarious. I think Lovish captured this T2. Yeah, I don't see any res bots. I think it was a capture. That's too funny. Capturing the T2 lab right here, and then using the reclaim to eat up all that metal right there, effectively stealing it from the other team. That is beautiful. Very nicely done by Lovish. That will easily afford quite a few more T2 Fiends that are pumped out from this forward lab, or even a T2 transition on the back of this if we wanted to. The green commander already has a T2 lab, so just funneling metal in that direction isn't a bad idea either. More and more bases are falling, though. It's the yin-yang I predicted as the northern side begins to crumble here, trying to hold out against the red onslaught. We do have T2 metal extractors coming up for the red commander. John Hunter just pushing forward aggressively. We have a T2 lab in the back as well for the orange commander. But for the most part, it really is the commander marching forward. That is too funny. John Hunter's commander has walked the entire surface of Darkside here and is now arriving in the backlines of the Lavender commander. I mean, the blitzes can't really go in. Yeah, just get D-gunned down. Collateral damage is of no concern to John Hunter here, who's already in the enemy main base. Any buildings destroyed are buildings destroyed for the enemy. Oh, swing and a miss with the D-guns here. We do need to connect these. John Hunter definitely having a hard time controlling those D-guns. There we go. Finally, the D-guns do connect. The lab goes down right there as well, which means reinforcements will be denied. And this commander manages to shut down basically this entire base single-handedly. Never a good day when you happen to have a commander running around, running amok in your backline. Wouldn't mind seeing these mechs taken, by the way, while we're here. Oh, LLT. LLT. Oh, John Hunter extremely low. This makes me very nervous. Oh, 4% remaining on that commander. What? Oh. Well, that's pretty interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4 laboratories here for the dark green commander. That is going to be certainly a reaction right here. For anybody, maybe this is a learning opportunity for anybody who's watching. Don't do this. Don't do this ever. Go for one of these labs, one of these 4 labs, and just attach all your constructors to it. Miles more efficient right here. Obviously, John Hunter going to have a time of his life, enjoying watching all of these get D-gunned down right here, one by one. My goodness, that was easily maybe 3,500 metal that just got D-gunned right there by John Hunter. This 9% HP commander. Oh my goodness. Fiends all over the map, by the way. My eyes are pulled immediately to John Hunter, but there's also Fiends in the backline here for the blue commander, trying to make up the difference right here by blowing apart any of the economy that we can. You'll find a T2 constructor. Maybe we could kill that. That wouldn't be the worst thing. T2 con goes down. We can always produce another one, though. Fiends still being nuisances all around the map, but at the very least, there are some LLTs and whatnot to try and shut them down. Metal extractors falling. Sheldon Ball starting to push forward. John Hunter's commander did eventually go down over here, by the way. Finally, his reign of terror was put to an end, but Fiends are already marching around the map, trying to backstab the blue team. The Seafoam Green commander, the last bastion of hope here for the northern side, trying to keep hold on well, anything in this northern section, but not really able to. Meanwhile, some thugs are marching forward. Blasting apart solar panels? Sure, why not? Recluse here, trying to fire at these. They've got the perfect engagement against the Recluse. You basically want to strafe perpendicular to the Recluse. The thing is, if we circle at the right distance and at the right frequency, yeah, these maces will outpace and outrange that Recluse. They'll beat it. Beat it in a 1v1, which is hilarious. Mustafa's commander in a lot of trouble on the front line here. Sheldon have found it. Boom goes the brown commander. Jasm in a little bit of trouble here as well. The maroon commander, the Sheldon continuing their march of terror, though. Those fiends, an ever-present threat in this army. The blue commander looking for a kill shot. Trying to find a way into the backline here. Trying to ruin the hearts of the red team. Ah, we've got an air transition. Cheeky, cheeky. We're going for a T2 air transition right now. We've got a fusion reactor queued up. We've got a T2 air transition queued up. We've got 6,000 metal in the bank. We've got a lot to build right here, and I don't think we have nearly enough build power to do it. The red commander trying to juggle 100 eggs in multiple baskets all at the same time. Ah, and we're gonna go for a nuclear bomber. That is cheeky. Those nuclear bombers can certainly get some insane value. Specifically very valuable for taking down things like fusion reactors, which they kill in a single shot. Commanders they will kill in 2, so they're decent for sniping commanders as well. A little bit of mismicro on the fiends right there, and the Twin Guard will hold the line. Cheap static defenses like Twin Guards can become very effective against the spam that eventually comes out in the late T3 game. Sheldon Ball still being a nuisance over here, by the way. We need to invest in some pinpointers, though, because most of their shots aren't connecting. There's a little bit of randomness, even if the accuracy is 100%, but obviously both of those effects, the randomness and the uncertainty of radar vision, compounding on top of each other means you hit about, I want to say 60% of the shots. Obviously, you can also overcome that issue the American way. Just invest 1 million metal into your Sheldon Ball, and then eventually it doesn't really matter. You just fire 10,000 projectiles per second, and that's the alternate solution, isn't it? Empty Kanging commander in a little bit of trouble right here. Basically just a full T1 army over on this side. Not really anything this T1 stuff is going to be able to do against the Sheldon Ball, though. Commander in a whole lot of trouble, and boom goes the Tan Commander as well, falling to the overwhelming Sheldon firepower. Fiends are now out for the Tan Commander, but one Fiend. Oh, self-demicro. Hey, nice self-demicro. Scratching up all of those Sheldon right there. Actually softening up way more of those than it would have been able to on its own without it. I always talk about how important those those Fiend self-demicro steps are, but there you go. Maybe that'll sell you on it. Nuclear bomber coming in on the northern side. We do have some scouting planes here as well. Love to see that we've included some oracles, the radar sonar planes. Sonar obviously not super important right now, but the radar on those planes, granting tons and tons of vision. Powder blue commander pinging that there's a nuclear bomber on the way. And we're gonna try and snipe some labs. Lovely stuff. Eradicator was queued up. Nowhere near enough build power to put that up in time, though. Oh, there we go. Nuclear bomber connects and manages to destroy the purple commander's lab in just a single volley. Beautifully, beautifully done. T2 lab will be the target. Oh no, we put it between the fusion and the... Yeah, we put it between the fusion and the T2 lab here, trying to be a little greedy, trying to snipe both. Ended up grabbing neither. Fusion reactors, definitely the premier targets for these bombers. Oh, hey, long-range anti-air missile missed the nuclear bomber. Oh, but the flak turret manages to save the day. That was very close right there to being a double fusion reactor snipe, but just barely managed to shoot down that nuclear bomber right there. Obviously, you see one nuclear bomber, though, and it means that there's the potential for more. Something to be aware of. Sheldon Ball in green, looking quite menacing. Ooh, getting some nice connections against the tan Sheldons. There we go. That one medium tank providing the vision that those Sheldon need to be accurate. Oh, lightning tanks. Forced back over here on the southern side. realizing that the blue commander is a little bit tired of the run-bys and decides not to let any more through as we go ahead and invest in 4 different Scorpion turrets to make sure that nothing else manages to break through, as well as a bunch of landmines. Oh, that's a great idea. The Scorpion turrets might leave open a gap right here that somebody might try to exploit, so the landmines right there make a lot of sense as a way of deterring any of those units from maybe trying anything that they shouldn't otherwise. Nuclear bombers to clean up the grunts over here. Feels like a little bit of overkill, but when in Rome. Pitbull and Rattlesnake set up over here by the red commander as well, trying to trying to save the day. Bit of a strange mess we're in here. Those blitzes just too close for comfort, I guess. There we go. Finally, Pitbull clears all those up. Nuclear bombers are charged and waiting. We're going to finally deal with this base. That Rattlesnake was also another tool that we were using for whittling this down ever so slightly. Strawberry trying to continue the aggression. We've now upgraded to Mausers, and the slow push is in progress. Firing away at everything over here, just slowly but surely whittling it down. The clock is on, though. Realistically, though, there's not really a great reason to push into this with the fighters. Using those fighters is just a guaranteed way of putting damage on them. Damage on the nuclear bomber, when realistically this Rattlesnake has more than enough range to fire away and basically destroy everything over here. Sheldon likewise. Fiends as well. There's only a beamer turret and an LLT to defend over here. Fiends will be more than sufficient to take all that down. Strawberry's army ran by from the Jaguars. Banishers still remain intact, though. Those are a very critical part of this composition here. Oh, Strawberry trying to go for a D-gun. She wants to take down those very high metal tanks right there. Cloak not engaged. Oh, the Shuriken saving the day, though. Cloak's just barely in time, and the Shuriken paralyzed that bull before he can fire the final shot to kill Strawberry's commander. Very close call here. Oh, friendly fire. Oh, no. Don't tell me the friendly fire. Oh, it was very close. 2% HP on Strawberry's commander right there. Could have been a nightmare. Abductor's up now to try and paralyze whatever they can. They've got their EMP strafing beam. It's very cool. And we're setting up loads of build power over here. Are we going to go for a Spamulatory, or are we going to go for a T3 gantry? Either one are a possibility right here for the red commander, who's got tons and tons of metal floating around in the air. Some of it being reinvested into economy in the backline here. Loads of it being set up to start production over here on the front, though. Commander goes down in base over here in the backline. The blue team holding out hope that this southern side can still find some value. Fiends continuing to run by, and I think this is probably the right idea. I think we need to double down on the aggression on the southern side. We're going for a T2 lab, but really I think we could just use the switcher to just start producing more and more Fiends. Just set it on repeat and start producing more of these in a big square formation. I think that would probably put you in a pretty good position here. Tiger's up against the Jaguars. Tiger tanks kind of like the Jaguar for the Cortex faction. Cortex doesn't really have an equivalent to the Jaguar, but the Cortex heavy Tiger tank is kind of between a bull and a Jaguar. Sort of the way in which it's balanced. Lightning tanks with their little anti-air backpack missile. Shut down by the Shuriken here, but we need something to actually deal with them. Fiends running around in the backline here still. Just queued up to run between all the metal extractors is adorable. The abductors trying to paralyze whatever they can. The fighters here to try and defend all that, of course, but definitely an issue. More Shuriken coming to deal with all these sprinters that were sent over here. We need something to deal with all this. The Shurikens are great. They're going to stop all of it in its tracks. Not going to do much, though, in terms of clearing those units out. We do have a T3 lab. Oh, my goodness. Blossom going for the forward T3 lab. I thought maybe we'd spam T1, maybe we'd spam T2. Nope, we're going to go ahead and build a whole bunch of T3 and send them out from the lab on the northern side of the map right here. Marauder and Razorbank are going to be the name of the game as we continue to build all these metal extractors, by the way. What happens here? There's an enemy metal extractor. And we're building an advanced metal extractor on top of it. I don't know. I've never seen this before. Never in my life have I seen that before, huh? I'm extremely curious. Yeah, look at those symbols. Look, you've got the red advanced metal extractor over the seafoam green one. I am so curious to see exactly what happens. Does the metal extractor go to the green commander, or is it eaten up and handed to the red commander? These are the important questions. Marauder and Razorback continuing to push forward here. Alright, looks like the metal just goes back to the red commander. Interesting. Very interesting. Sumos have been pumped out of the lab on the southern side here alongside a bunch of the grunts. That's apparently what we went for this T2 lab for. I'm surprised. I really feel like maybe going for a big Sheldon ball and pushing the southern side is the way to secure the deal. With the T3 pushing forward on this, I mean, oh, we are going for a killer economy. Okay. We're on second APHIS, 3 regular fusions, and we're going for a third APHIS. The blue commander definitely feeling confident in the amount of time that they have remaining, but I really wouldn't. This mini Marauder should be more than plenty to push through over here. Static defense is coming up for the cyan blue commander. Scorpion turret's pretty good. Definitely sufficient against a couple of Marauder, but that is quite a ball we've got building up right there for Blossom. Loads of E-storage as well to make sure that we can spend it all at the same time. No economy growth in the backline, though. That's a little concerning. Usually, when there's no economy growth in the backline, it means that that team is doomed to be outpaced by the others. It means it's only a matter of time. And I think it's definitely the wrong move here. I think we should probably continue to double down in reinvesting our metal into economic structures. We do have tick spam coming up right here. A little bit of a switch up. Okay. We've got 3 T1 labs going to start spamming out units. We've got pawns, we've got ticks, we've got all sorts of different stuff here. Little slew of different units. Yeah, ticks and pawns and even some anti-air bots, all sorts of stuff. Scorpion turret shooting down the plasma turret that was potentially set up over there. The dragons coming across the map. Oh no. The red team has nothing to deal with it. There's a couple of fighters in the air right now. We have the T2 lab spamming out fighters as quick as we can. Oh, the advanced fusion reactor pops, and just like that, Cat Spiral's base is sent to oblivion. Anti-air turrets coming up right here from a whole bunch of the consoles, just running around building AA wherever they can, but the dragons don't care about the AA one bit. Watch me do this, trying to degun. Hey, we do degun down one of the dragons. Very nicely done. The other one suffering from the anti-air fire and the T2 fighters and all the rest of it. And eventually we do clean those up. But my goodness, that was scary. Those dragons, very powerful. Strawberry's T3 gantry in a little bit of trouble. I'll tell you what, though, there's a lot of landmines available. Marauder firing in a row here to try and clear out some of those landmines. Not entirely sure where the rest of them are, though. Probably suspecting that there's more. Ticks running forward. They'll be more than happy to sacrifice themselves, clear out some of those landmines. There we go, though. Those are medium mines, so pretty much perfect for shutting down Marauder. Not going to do all too much against any of those Razorbacks. Mass Shuriken to try and shuttle this down. Do we hold? Economy in the backline is starting to, well, it's continuing to scale for Strawberry. Continuing to scale for the, actually we're done scaling for the blue commander. We have, yeah, we're overflowing tons and tons of metal right now. What is Lovish to do at this point in the match? Going for mass sumo and sending them over to the northern side wouldn't be the worst idea. Something to deal with this spam of units coming across. The anti-air bot spam is so expensive. These AA bots are 125 metal apiece. Wow, look at that. The red commander has more metal than they even know what to do with. Okay, well, you know what? When you got an economy like that, 300 metal per second here, I guess you can afford to spam as many as you like. Quakers firing away. Shurikens paralyzing whatever they can. As far as the economies go, the blue team is far and away above in the lead for energy production. Nearly double the energy production right here of the red team. Metal production, while reclaimed is high, is also in the blue team's favor. So despite how it looks, the blue team really isn't in that bad of a position here. Huh. It feels like red commands a massive portion of this map, but realistically, blue has the overwhelming economic advantage. Oh, thinking about self-destructing the sumos, apparently. Trying not to leave a whole bunch of metal out on the map. Eventually that fight is cleaned up. Man, these shuriken have gotten so much value. The shuriken gaining value throughout the entire match here definitely adds up. You'll never get an award for your shuriken control. You'll never get a golden cow for overwhelming shuriken support. But suffice it to say that those shuriken have saved more than a handful of engagements this game. We're preparing a massive wave right now. The red player, that is. Overflowing metal right now. I'm surprised we're not continuing to scale. We do have a fusion going in the backline right here, but I feel like we should build some more build power, get some more aphises up and running, make sure that we're continuing to pump out as many units as we can. Karganeth being sent northward. Suddenly we found ourselves in a strange kind of north versus south game. The red player holding on to everything over here. Going for some bombing runs over here through this side, flying right over the AA turrets. Oh no. The Manticores, the AA guns, all of it in position here to deflect all this. Ever since those dragons came across the map, everybody's been prepared with the AA. Heavy bombers coming into the maroon base here. An attack of opportunity, just trying to deploy those bombs to wherever it's convenient. T2 fighters trying to shoot down the rest of them. Decent connection right there. Maybe not getting as much value, but there really wasn't any juicy targets in this base anyways to go after, so all said and done, probably about as good as you're going to get. T2 fighters, though, in mass, going to be more than enough to shut down those bombers. Demons burning forward, discovering that most of this is effectively just T1. It's trash units. Starlights, not so much. Pretty powerful. But also very, very limited in what they're capable of doing. The swarm jumping on top of the demons. At the very least, enabling the flanking bonus. Meaning that these... Oh! Wow. Nice D-gun right there from Blossom. Shutting down both of those demons right there. One with the D-gun and one with the Starlights. The Starlights are the excellent complement here for a lot of these units on the front line. You could spam everything else forward and then use the Starlights over a massive area in order to deal with all this. Oh, nice. We reclaimed the Karganeth over here. Very good. We have more Karganeths building right here for John Hunter. So why on earth aren't we pressuring this left-hand side? This left-hand side has been completely open for the longest time. Hold on, what do we... I mean, I feel like a spam of T1 units, like a spam of pawns or ticks or grunts or anything like that forward onto the southern side would relieve so much pressure from the north because all the T3 units would have to come down in that direction. Nuclear bombers pulled back to base. I wonder what we're up to with those. T2 lab, another T2 lab coming up and running. Are we planning to win this game with the air control? It's an interesting choice. Dragons trying to find some value here. Those T1 anti-air bots not going to be phenomenal against the dragons, but they're relatively cheap, and considering the cost of a dragon to the amount of damage that those AA bots do, it's probably basically efficient. About 1, maybe 2% damage per shot. Like 1.5, I want to say. Pulsar's coming up now. Yeah, really digging our heels in here. Interesting. AA trucks following the dragons around. T2 fighter is going to be pulled in order to deal with all this. The volley from the T2 fighters will be more than enough to shut those dragons down. Very nicely done. Demon, however, going to charge the Pulsar. Oof. Shredding off about half that demon's HP. Man, Pulsar's pretty good, huh? Pretty good. Beautiful static defense. That wonderful blue laser beam. Karganeth now jumped on by Shuriken. When you've got enough Shuriken to paralyze Karganeth, you know you're in a pretty good spot right here. Is not going to be pretty happy with the work that those Shuriken have been doing so far. Karganeth continuing to stream out of a very impressive economy right here for the blue commander. Up to 300 metal per second when not reclaiming. Looking fabulous. Getting ready to move out with the Nuki Bees. Flying in formation. Hold on, I want to get a... No, not that. There we go. Look at those nuclear bombers heading out in formation. Da 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 da. All right, that's enough of that. Don't want to get sued for copyright infringement. But let's just say that if those were a gun, they would definitely be on top. That's all I'm saying. They'd be best gun. Is that copyright free? #1 gun. I think that works. Was that a commander that just went down over here? It sure looks like it. It was indeed the red commander going down over here on the northern side. Apparently falling to the aggression over here. Karganeth's cleaning up this T1 spam very efficiently. T1 spam also pretty good against T1 spam. Pulsar here, finding extreme value. And it looks like this facility will eventually crumble. Grunts overwhelming the defenses and the Karganeth cleaning up the majority of it. Seems like mass Karganeth is where it's at. Nuclear bombers headed in with the Stormbringers, not able to overwhelm the defensive fighter planes. The economy for the blue players still stands. I'm the drunk one, by the way, says Blossom. Karganeth's continuing to take care of business over on the northern side, blasting away at static defense right here. You can see the strategic vision right now is to deal with the threat on the northern side and then eventually sweep across the map, denying the Yin-Yang situation and instead going ahead and pressing in all directions. It's about enough time, though, for a lot of static defense to come up here. Winning that fight was definitely important. But now the matter of cleanup is at hand. Rattlesnakes and Pitbulls set up en masse over here. Doing a decent job against all this, but Pulsars are really what you need for the heavier T3s. Mass Karganeth available as well for the Orange Commander. Going to start peeling away at some of their blue brethren. Likewise, another fight right here in the middle of the map. Karganeth versus Karganeth. It's a very spammy matchup. Lots and lots of missiles flying around all over the place. For the most part, though, in virtually every sense, it's going to be whoever has more is going to win. Glad to see that the economy has continued to grow right here for the blue commander. Continuing to make that economy bigger and bigger, making that difference between economies bigger and bigger. You can see the metal production is virtually the same. However, the energy production is still miles ahead for the red team. What that indicates to me is that their economy is the same without metal extractors. And what I see over here is that tons of the metal extractors are being claimed by Twitchers and all sorts of other stuff. What that means is that as soon as those metal extractors fall from the red team and go back to the blue team, their advantage is going to be massive. And that's exactly what we're seeing right here. Karganeth blasting away medium tanks and themselves and their brethren, all sorts of stuff. Grunts marching forward en masse here as well. Scorpion turret's quite good, but only good against single targets. Grunt's going to overwhelm the defensive capabilities right there and find a whole bunch of metal extractors. There they are. Abductors paralyzing tons and tons of units over here. Lovely stuff. Mass Abductor, always a somewhat viable option. A very powerful EMP option. Strawberry. Switching her labs immediately into a T3 gantry to start spamming out Shiva as well, putting more and more mass out on the field everywhere else that she can. Using Resbots as well to pick up a whole bunch of this. Wouldn't even mind seeing some of this resurrected, but those static defenses, resurrecting those definitely gives you a nice base to launch off of. But I think the blue team's definitely done it. Another Karganet, a single Karganet is sent down south here to try and clean all this up. Gunships, Roughnecks actually. Shutting that down. Is that their propeller? Is that little fan on the back of them? Oh, that's so funny. I never realized that before. I thought they just had a funny tail. Didn't realize it was spinning. Pretty adorable. Have no idea how that was supposed to work, but glad that it does. Yeah, it flips downwards when they're in the hovering mode. Interesting. That's kind of adorable. I like it a lot. Mass Shuriken wave sent out here. This is always the sign of the end times when the Shuriken are sent out. Oh, you know what? Tons of AA though. Wow, those Shuriken are blasted out of the skies. My goodness. The AA is rough and those Shuriken get blasted to annihilation. That was beautiful. Always love watching those clumped up air units going down. Titan is now hitting the battlefield here. I think the red leader is now realizing that without the economic growth that the blue leader and blue, green, and cyan leaders all went for, this game is spiraled out of control. Nearly 300 metal advantage right now for the blue team as the Karganeth continue to push into the bases right here. Slowly chipping away at everything, but slowly chipping away nonetheless. And it's only a matter of time before these Shiva do finally make it up to the fronts. Their long-range missile launchers, great for dealing with some of those sturdier structures. And of course, their heavy condensed matter projectile cannons hurling away those incredibly violent ricochet rounds. Not ricochet, area of effect rounds. Directly into the base of the tank commander here. Very nicely done. Boom goes the base of the tank commander. That's going to be MT King tapping out of this game. Mass Karganeth moving forward on the northern side. Bombers trying to shut down the Karganeth here. The Blizzards might have been able to do it. The Stormbringers, I have no faith in them ever being able to do that. Stormbringers, quite good area harassment tools. Not so much any sort of single target harassment. But it looks like the red team's morale has crumbled under the weight of the blue comeback. Beautifully done game. What a weird one. I've never seen a Yin-Yang match turn out quite like that, where the aggression is completely blocked on the northern side and then pushed back, and then eventually crumbled all around. But maybe, just maybe, that's the strategy to go for. Lovish, as well as the rest of the blue team, showing us some excellent gameplay. It's GG's all around. And an extra special thank you for hanging out with me through this very long match of Beyond All Reason. I sure hope you had a great time, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason.